Ustrasana, Camel pose. Jane begins in a high kneeling position. She puts her palms on the backs of her hips and starts to arch back. Once she has arched back fully, she releases her arms to put her hands on her feet. As we look at her pose, we can see how Jane twisted to the right, then to the left as she grabbed her heels. Her hips sank toward her heels as her thighs moved back. Her knees separated and her shins lifted from the floor as she curled her toes under. Instead of extending her neck, she let her head drop back. She's using her hands to hold herself up instead of her back. Let's have her come up and try again. This time Jane works to keep her thighs rolled in and her knees close together as she arches back. She wants to keep her thighs upright. Her toes point straight back as she keeps her shins pressing into the floor. As she reaches her maximum arch, she lets her arms drop toward her feet. She would like to place the palms of her hands on the soles of her feet. Finally, she extends through her neck and arches her head back. To exit, Jane works her back muscles even more to lift herself out of the pose and return to a kneeling position. Let's watch Jane's skeleton in Ustrasana. As we look at her initial pose, we can see her knees swung apart, her shins lifted from the floor as her toes curled under. She twisted her back, grabbing for her heels, and her hips sagged toward her feet. Her neck is bent back, and she's let her back relax. She's holding herself up with her hands instead of her back. Let's have Jane come up and try again. This time she works to keep her legs aligned and straight up as she arches back. Her toes point straight back and her shins stay pressed into the floor. As she reaches her maximum arch, she lets her arms drop toward her feet. Then Jane can grab her heels or place her palms on the soles of her feet. Finally, she extends her neck and arches her head back. To exit, Jane uses her spinal muscles to lift herself back to a kneeling position.